Bill? Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are about 4 or 5 minutes away from starting. I want to come around with a handout for anybody who didn't get one yet. Is there anyone who did not get one yet? Okay. Boy, I ran 60 copies and I'm getting down to the bottom here. I better go run some more.
Well, we can share one.
No.
Share one if we need to.
No, we might be okay. Because we don't have 60 in here yet. I ran 60 copies. So we should be okay. Hey, Riley, morning. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay, we broadcasting?
Yeah.
Is it coming through?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have it on my screen. But that's okay. I don't have it on my screen. But I don't need it as long as you know it's broadcasting.
Okay, yeah. Riley's in charge.
It is. We're on?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, we're on. All right. Very, very good. Anybody over here who needs the handout? Oh. See, it looks like we're in good shape. You got it? Okay. All right. All right. So. Go.
Morning.
We'll pass that back to Marlene.
My sister-in-law years ago was Christian Science,
Oh,
and she's passed a long time ago now. But and again, like Jehovah's Witnesses, wonderful, wonderful.
wonderful. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good people. Okay, you all set? You got them? Okay. If you were not here for the first two, I have extra Jehovah's Witness and Mormons handouts up here. I'll just put them here if you want to come up and get one afterwards. There we go. Okay. We're almost there. That clock is a minute fast. So I've got like about a minute to 10. Ken, here's a handout. Okay. See if anybody else is heading in. Nice day, huh? Beautiful. Wow.
Great day for a ride. Good day for a drive from Zealand.
Yeah, nice day, huh?
Yeah, Jim, thanks for picking me up.
I better tie a string on that.
Were the roads clear, Jim? Were the roads clear?
Surprisingly so. We get on the freeway get on the highway in Zealand,
Yeah.
drove straight here, get off at Fuller.
Yeah.
New Beginnings is right around the corner where we go for breakfast.
Yep.
We come back to Fuller and go down to Aberdeen, and I can remember all the experiences back when it was 7
Right.
years ago.
Okay. Ding. Let us pray. Lord, thanks for a gorgeous day. Thanks so much for many who have come this morning to be informed and to be curious. And hopefully, Lord, as we look at these other ideas, last 2 weeks and today, that we can be more stimulated to investigate the scriptures and our own faith, what you have given us. Bless this morning. Be here with us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Paul?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there's one there?
No, it's okay. No, you can sit right here. You can sit right here. It's fine.
Okay. I think we're set, Scott. Thank you. All right. Today we're doing Hinduism and Buddhism. Next week, Muslim, and if we have time, Judaism. Eunice is with us this morning. She's going to be sharing some experiences that she has had. And then we're also going to be talking about impact on things here in America. I've got them up on the board to make sure that I include everything as we have time. We're going to begin with Hinduism because Hinduism is the oldest or older of the two between Hindu and Buddhist. Buddhists started about 500 years before Christ, whereas Hinduism, the roots of it go back, perhaps 4,000 years ago, to the time of Moses, Abraham, and so forth. But the first written parts of Hinduism go back about 2,000 years ago. In other words, Hinduism in its writings go back to about the same time that scripture writings began. And Buddhism begins much later. It begins much later and was to some extent a reaction against Hinduism. Because one of the aspects of Hinduism is that it is very, very complex. It is not well organized. The concept of going, as we would say, to heaven or life after death is a very long and involved process. And so Buddhism has shortened the time period. But one of the big differences between Hinduism and Buddhism is that Hinduism has many, many, many gods, whereas for the most part, Buddhism is atheistic. And I don't know if you were aware of that or not, but other than, and there's branches off from all of these things, just like in Christianity, we have denominations. So there's branches off, but Buddhism basically is atheistic. They don't have a God. You just live a good life, and then you are absorbed into what they call nirvana. And so I start off on the handout saying that it is complex, and that there are these subgroups. There is no founder that we know of, no person that is responsible. So, for example, in Mormons, and we had Joseph Smith, and in Jehovah's Witness we had Russell. In Christian Science, which is another cult, we had Mary Baker Eddy. In Buddhism, we have Siddhartha Gautama. So there's always, and of course in Christianity we have Jesus. But there is no founder that we know of in Hinduism. It just emerged, it just developed out of the culture in India. Its birthplace is India, and India is still heavily Hindu today. And as we'll probably get to later on, Hinduism at its roots teaches acceptance and caring, understanding, and nonviolence. In fact, Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, as I have up here, and Martin Luther King Jr., the whole nonviolent movement was heavily influenced by Hinduism. However, when you get politics involved with Hinduism, Nylene, want to grab me a thing of water? That'd be great. Thank you very much. I was going to get one, and then I got talking to somebody in my office and forgot. When you get politics involved and power, then you don't really then you don't really have the same kind of peacefulness that that generally you would have with Hinduism. So it is complex. There's different groups, different sects, S-E-C-T-S, sects. It's not S-E-X, but different sects. And then, as I have on the sheet here, it has deeply influenced many things in America. And I've got those on the board, and we'll get to those later, but just to give you a little hint as to what's coming, the idea of karma, meditation, yoga, becoming one with the divine has become influential in terms of back in the 1960s and 70s, we had the New Age movement. Some of the movie stars were channeling with their whatever, their spirit person, and Christian Science, which started back in the 1800s, Scientology, which is huge back over in California. If we have time, we'll talk about Scientology this morning. So there has been an influence. And I said that Sunday morning partly as a hook to get people to come, because I thought people might say, well, you know what, I care about Hinduism and Buddhism, But as a hook to encourage people to come. In terms of God, you might remember that the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe in Trinity. In fact, they tend to say that our idea of Trinity comes out of the pagan religions, and Hinduism would be one example. You have three main gods in Hinduism. You have Vishnu, who is the preserver. I've got that in the third paragraph. Shiva, the destroyer, and Brahma, the creator. Thank you very much. And here's a handout for
Jeannie.
I still have, oh, thank you. Nylene, thank you so much. Larry.
That comment on Shiva, Robert Oppenheimer said after he had worked on the bomb and developed the bomb, he said, I am become Shiva the destroyer. He was very upset.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, I thought that's exactly what he said.
Really?
Yeah, I am become Shiva.
Shiva the destroyer.
Yeah, because he created this bomb.
The bomb,
and
yeah.
I thought about it afterwards.
And what he actually did, huh? Mm-hmm. Well, the idea, you say, well, how could a God be a destroyer? The idea is that we are in constant repetition of universes. Who knows how many universes have existed before we did, according to the Hindus. And they not only believe in reincarnation of the individual person, but they believe in the repetition of universes, that one is destroyed and then a new one begins. And so that could have been going on for billions and billions and billions of years. And so we have Brahma who creates, we have then Vishnu who preserves, but then we have Shiva who destroys what is, and then a new one starts all over again. Now, we are going to be talking about this word Brahman and Brahma and Brahmin, and I want to make something clear here as far as the difference between the two, just so that as we move along, the creator is Brahma, and the God now the God, the high God's name, like we would say Jehovah or God the Father, is Brahman, and that is the eternal spirit that you get absorbed in once you finish your reincarnation. And a Brahmin is a member of the highest caste, highest person in the caste system, the priestly class. So Brahma is the name of the creator God. This is the God that we, or the divine spirit, whatever you want to call it. You say, well, all of these gods, Brahma, Brahman, and Vishnu, that's right. Now, in addition to these main gods, there are many, 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 many sub-gods. Many sub-gods. There could be hundreds, there could be thousands of sub-gods. And one of the ways that you gain salvation, as they're going to say towards the bottom of the page, not the only way, but one of the ways is that you're very devoted to one of these gods. You set up a shrine in your house and you worship that God, and that God is your pathway then into what we would call salvation. So the thing to understand about Hindus is many gods, many gods, many gods, and there is a God who creates, there is a God who keeps, there is a God who destroys, and then the God who starts it all over again. And then there's a divine spirit that we are absorbed into, and then there are many sub-gods, and people will worship one or more of those sub-gods in addition to the high gods. So we're talking about multiple gods compared to Buddhism, which doesn't have any gods. So in case you have in your mind, well, Hinduism and Buddhism, they're basically the same thing. They aren't in this respect. In other respects, they're very similar, but in this respect, they aren't. Doug?
Do you think then that if we present it right, that Christianity becomes an easier sell to those people with their manifold gods and relationships?
Yeah, the people that are living in northwest Bangladesh, a lot of them are Hindus. And as I said before, basically Hindus are peaceful, and so in that area we haven't run into any, or at least not much political pressure, and so they're accepting, but they're also open. Now, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. A bad thing that happens when you do missionary work amongst people who already have gods is that Jesus, Jehovah, just becomes another one of the gods. That could be a bad thing. Now, a good thing is that you now explain to them who the God really is that you have been worshiping in your paganism. And that then opens the door. And hopefully, and what we have found in Bangladesh is that has been successful. Bonnie?
If people grow up in the Hindu faith, do they usually end up picking the same personal God as their family? Or does everyone think, oh, I feel an affinity toward this other sub-God?
Well, I don't know. But if you grow up in a heavily populated Hindu area, you might begin to follow some other Hindu pathway. So, for example, somebody might be brought up in a home where the father works in the rice field and the mom is a homemaker, and then they have these shrines in the house, but you decide to become a Hindu priest, and so you would obviously then, it's kind of like in America, or you might grow up Presbyterian and decide that you want to become Lutheran kind of thing. So, but I don't know of any data that shows that I would imagine there is some consistency. Okay? All right, well, lifestyle and salvation. Reincarnation. And I'm sure you've heard about this before, that depending on the life that you live now sets the stage for the life that you will become in your next experience, your next cycle of living. And so it teaches that we are returning to a new birth, a new life, in another form, depending on what we have now lived. But eventually, if you really live a quality life, a dedicated life, maybe a highly spiritual life, especially if you become a Brahmin of the priestly class, you will eventually then leave this life totally and spin off into the Brahman. into the eternal spirit, and then you become one with the eternal spirit. There is really no concept of the individual person. For example, we talk about the fact that when we die, we go to heaven and we continue to be who we are. And so people who are Christian, they talk about going to heaven and once again being with mom and with dad and that kind of thing. There's no concept like that in Hinduism. You are absorbed into the spirit, into the Brahman, and you just now become part of the universe. And then that's also important to realize when you are alive in this world, that who you are as an individual doesn't really matter. There's no emphasis on developing yourself as a unique person because you were something before, you're going to be something after, and your goal is to be absorbed into the eternal spirit. Now there's words connected with this. And I've got a list of those words at the bottom here, you can see. Samsara is the word meaning that we are passing through the succession of lives. This is the reincarnation. Now what happens is you have within you what is called the Atman. And the Atman is the soul or the spirit, and the physical body doesn't matter. The physical body is just, you might say, trash. The Atman is what matters. That is what is passed from one lifespan into another. So you might go from being, like, I'll use the rice farmer again. You might go from being a rice farmer to being a teacher to being a priest. But then again, you might go from being a rice farmer to being a rat, depending on what kind of a life you were living. And that's samsara. And it's based on karma. Now, look at that word dharma first. Dharma means what is expected of me. What is, in terms of my birth, what is expected of me. Now, if I am born into, we'll just use the farmer family again. If I'm born into the farmer family and my father is a farmer, my dharma is that I would just be a good rice farmer, that I would, if I'm a female and I have a mother who has born children, that's what I would do. That's my dharma. And so that's what I have to do. I don't push against that. If my family lives in poverty and they're farmers, that's what I accept. And we're going to be talking about the caste system, and you don't try to improve yourself. So like in our culture, we talk to our young people about, well, go to college or go to trade school and develop yourself, and can you become more even than what dad and mom were. That is not in the Hindu mentality. You have to stay where you were placed at birth. Gary?
I guess just to help me and anybody else understand that, dharma is kind of basically like our Ten Commandments. It's a way to live. That's their viewpoint of how to live.
Right. It is the way to live according to how you were born. According to how you were born. So if I am born into the family of bakers, which I was, I don't strive to become Rich DeVos. See? But if I'm, what's that?
We just kidding, neither do I.
Oh, okay. But if you're born into Rich's family, then your dharma would be to continue that kind of lifestyle. That's the caste system. Because there's 4 levels, and we're going to be looking at that on the next page. Is there a handout back there, Sherry? Okay, thank you. Jim?
This Utman you mentioned, how do you spell that word?
Atman?
Atman.
A-T-M-A-N. I've got it in here someplace.
I didn't see it, so that's why I was wondering.
At least I thought I did.
Okay, so in other words, there's no incentive for a bank robber to give up his bad ways.
Well,
I mean, a wicked, an evil person, use your own imagination.
no, you can't be evil. You can't be evil. There is an emphasis on being good. There is an emphasis on being good.
Is bank robbery evil to a Hindu?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Right.
So they do have some
Oh,
moral.
sure. They have moral codes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Doug?
But it does tend to maybe keep the culture down to that level so that they can be controlled better.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe with your, everybody rises, coming from Dutch background, you had to go to college, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just gonna be this.
Doug's saying, like if you came from Dutch background, you had to go to college, you know, kind of thing, right?
You
But,
will succeed, you will.
But now you did well, Doug. Your father was floor covering, and you worked at floor covering, so you continued with your Dharma,
Still at it some.
and still at it. If you need quality wood floor covering done,
Oh my,
flooring done,
say that again, Louis.
and he does the real thing. It's not the plastic stuff that you get at Lowe's. It's the real thing where you put the wood down, right? Yes, Jim.
If a farmer, you talked about being a farmer, all of a sudden became very prosperous, would that put him into another category?
Well, it could, but he isn't going to strive for that. But it could put him into another category, and that then would be considered part of his karma. And that's that other word on there, karma. Karma is the good things that I do in life, according to my dharma, to reach Brahman and finish samsara. Now, when I say finish samsara, samsara, once again, is this cycle of reincarnation. And if you've ever paid attention to Indian art, to Hindu art, you notice that quite often there is a wheel. And the wheel represents life, that we are on this wheel. And you're at some point on the wheel. Now, moksha, you'll see that word moksha on there. Moksha is when you spin off the wheel into Brahman. You spin off the wheel into Brahman. Now, I put the word nirvana on here, the final stage that I'm delivered from samsara. Really, nirvana is more of a Buddhist term, but it is also used in Hinduism. But your goal is to spin off the wheel and be absorbed into Brahman. And once again, Brahman is the eternal spirit that you are absorbed into. And then I put down here the fact that the way of works, the way of knowledge, and the way of devotion. The way of works, religious duties, ceremonies will add to karma. The way of knowledge, to get into philosophy and thinking. This would be like a priest. And then the way of devotion, that you just devote yourself to the gods and to good living. But any one of those three is a basis for spinning off the wheel and experiencing moksha. Now, the idea, and Eunice, come on up. The idea is that the Atman then, the spirit, will be released from you when you die, and because of reincarnation, go into another form or into another body. And this is Eunice Grotenboer. Some of you will recognize her. She attends the evening service. And Eunice, through her life, was a tour guide. How many tours have you led through the world?
But I had the privilege of going all over the world with groups, and that included India. And so when we were talking about it, and Church, when he was talking about it, he said, well, share this. So I printed off a couple of pictures from my computer on just copy paper, and it's not very good. But I'm gonna, you can go both ways, and I took these pictures myself on one or two of the groups, and it's gonna show you the site of cremation at the Ganges River, the mother, Ganges River. And Shiva, the god Shiva, is the main god in this area. It's, the old name of the city was Varanasi, and now it's called Varanasi. And it has a big college there. It is where you see the pictures of the gnats coming down the steps of India. You've seen pictures like that, and you'll see them as you pass. Okay, so taking a group was not an easy thing to get to. But I got permission to take the group up and by where they do the cremations. Again, you'll see them. I gotta show you this one too. Well, I'll do this later. So early in the morning, before the crack of dawn, you get up and you get permission to go down because the steps are very high and very wide, mile long, and you go down with your group. They have the little boats, probably not even
We're on? Okay. So if you missed a little bit, sorry about that. I think we're back on. Are we back on?
Yep.
Thank you. Buddhism has become attractive even to Christians because they'll see strife and arguing and division within the Christian church, whereas ideally Buddhism teaches brotherly love, we love animals, we love people, we don't have prejudice. And as I said before, if you keep politics out of it and power, like national power, like some political group who are Buddhists who are trying to have power in places like India or in Bangladesh, but it is a peaceful religion. The universe evolved and was not created and functions according to a natural law and not at the whim and desire of any God. So if you ask a Buddha, where did the world come from? You say, I don't know, it's just here. Don't sweat it. Buddhist truths are natural. The Buddha only discovers what is basically and naturally true. Siddhartha is the first Buddha of this world period, and there's many world periods. The Buddha taught that ignorance produces desire, and unsatisfied desire that leads to rebirth. And this reincarnation is the cause of sorrow. To escape sorrow, we escape rebirth by destroying ignorance, which in turn extinguishes desire. We must extinguish the desire to live. Now notice what it says here. The Buddha taught that ignorance produces desire. So when you begin to have strong passions, strong desires, and those desires begin to conflict within you and with people around you, that is what we would call sin. And so the release from that is not Jesus' blood washes me clean, and I have to learn how to live in fellowship with one another in Christ. But when I begin to understand that my passions, the strong passions within me are causing hurt and pain and so forth, then I have to do what I can to escape me. And that's where the meditation comes in. That's where the yoga comes in. I have to escape me. And so the essence then of Buddhism would be some sort of denial of life, denial of self. And the more that I can do that, the more that I'm going to have peace. And so I'm not sure that this would be accurate, but let's just say that there's a lot of strife going on within me, around me. So I'm just going to, this afternoon, I'm just going to go and sit and focus on a leaf on the tree and meditate and forget about it. And the more that I do that, the more I'm preparing myself for spinning off the wheel into, but the more that I give into my desires and my passions, the longer I'm going to be in the process of reincarnation. So therefore, the process of reincarnation is shortened the more you can escape self. So you see, there's similarities to Hinduism, but also some key differences. The Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. So these are the Four Noble Truths. Number one, birth, death, disease, old age are painful. Not having what we desire is painful, and having what we do not desire is painful. So pain, desire, number one. There's a parallel here with Christianity, that if you're going to talk about what Christianity is, you quite often begin with sin. You begin with the fall. You begin with pain. You begin with hurt. You begin with inappropriate desires. The pain and suffering is caused by the craving, desire for pleasures and the senses. Okay, thanks for being here. The pain and suffering is caused by the craving and desire for the pleasures of the senses, the craving for happiness and prosperity in this life and future lives. So you can see here again a parallel to Christianity. That if you sit down with me and you say, let's say that you're not a Christian and you say, oh, I'm just not happy. What's the matter? You say, well, that's sin. See, you've been giving in to self. You've been giving in to the old nature, to the desires within you. And that leads to inner conflict and despair and hurt and pain and sadness. And, and you have to find a solution to that. Now, of course, the solution is Jesus. But in Buddhism, the solution is, once again, to try to get away from self. So it's very different, but you can see a parallel here. You can see a parallel in why some people might be drawn to it, because Buddhists are nice people, they care about animals, they care about people, and they begin with some of the same ideas. And therefore, why not be a Buddhist? Why be a Christian and be in the church where everybody's fighting with each other about whether or not gay people should get married and women should be elders and all of that? And why don't I just become a Buddhist and live in peace? Number 3, to be done with suffering, we must give up this craving, so no passion and desire remain, and we achieve this end of suffering and destruction of desire through the Eightfold Path. Now, here you notice the focus on works, but a lot of the works are things that we emphasize, but we emphasize because we're saved, not to get saved. You see the difference? We say sin, salvation, service. The Buddhist would say sin, service, salvation. You flip the second two. And so the Eightfold Path, right belief. You got to believe in the Four Noble Truths. Right thought. You've got to think the right thoughts to get away from passions. Right speech. You've got to talk like one who is escaping and not like one who is committed to the passions of this world. Right behavior. Right behavior would be things like kindness to people. Don't kill bugs. Don't step on the ant. Right occupation. Don't become a prostitute. Work in the rice fields. Right effort to get rid of your evil qualities. And so spend time in meditation. Right contemplation and right meditation. And the right behavior, as you see there, the fourth one, right do not kill, do not steal, no forbidden sexual pleasures, do not lie, and do not take in any intoxicating drug or alcohol. So you can see then that the focus for the Buddhist has parallels to Christianity. That when you become a Christian, the Eightfold Path is stuff that we teach people. You got to think the right kind of thoughts. You got to live right. You got to, be a kind person, care about people. Don't steal. Keep the 10 Commandments. But again, it's not sin, salvation, and then service, but it's sin, service, and then salvation. You flip the second two. And I've got that at the bottom, the very bottom. Now, we've all heard of Zen Buddhism. Zen is a form of Mahayana. Zen seeks through thought challenges to bring the person into touch with the true reality, not what we see and desire. See, because we are so tied in with physical reality, it's hard for us to escape physical reality and our own passions. So what we have to do is we have to let our mind get us away from human passions and physical reality. And so you meditate on profound concepts that seem to have no logical, experiential answer. What is the sound of one hand clapping? You sit and you meditate. It's called zazen, until you have a sudden illumination called a satori. And this is usually for the monks, but also for the common people to try to achieve satori and release from rebirth. Let me see here. Where did I put that? Okay. All right. So I want to talk about these things up on the board, but anybody at this point? Yes. The big Buddha? Right. So once again, there's not just one Buddha, but the Buddha is a symbol of enlightenment. And so you are reminded that you are to escape the passions of the world, the passions of yourself, and try to more and more be absorbed into the life to come, into the non-self. That's what those are for. But they don't, now some might, but they're not worshiping the Buddha. But the Buddha then would be, it's kind of like having a Mother Mary, a statue of Mother Mary. A good Roman Catholic will tell you, well, I'm not worshiping the statue, but the statue is a reminder of the Mother Mary. She's the mother of Jesus, and it helps and that kind of thing. That's what the statue of Buddha would do.
Why do you put fruit in front of it?
Pardon?
They put fruit in front of it.
Put fruit in front of it? Yeah. Well, it's part of living a dedicated life, a sacrificial life. It's an expression of the fact that I'm giving myself away. And here again, we do that. And so Buddhism, as well as Hinduism, coming into America has had some impacts. So I wrote these up on the board. Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, I was, two images of the Vietnam War. One was the guy shooting the other guy in the head.
Oh, yeah.
The other one were the Buddhist monks that were burning themselves up.
Yeah.
With gasoline. They'd sit there and calmly just torch themselves. And in Western world, we say, how could you do that? You know? But, you know, as it explains in here, they're going to a better place. They're getting rid of the
Atta, the non-self. Yeah. Right. So, and you'll find this in historic philosophies. Socrates, who drank the hemlock, he was not afraid because he was going to be absorbed into the divine spirit. So a lot of these ideas you'll find cross-applying in different ways down through the centuries. So I know that this might be a little bit difficult over there to see it, but I'll just say it. Transcendentalism, Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson lived in the 1800s, and they wrote things. They were deeply influenced by Eastern religion, and their writings are to help us become attached to then the divine or the non-self. Thoreau on Walden Pond. Now, the interesting thing is, you go to a Christian school and you'll read Henry David Thoreau on Walden Pond, where he could get away from the hustle and the bustle, and he could meditate, and he could, be more absorbed into the spiritual world. So it's not, here again, you could say, well, I'm not going to read Thoreau or Emerson, because they were influenced by Eastern religion. Well, yeah, but they were also good writers. And they wrote good literature. And they have nice things to say. And they teach people in high school how to think and how to write. Nonviolence, Gandhi. Now, Gandhi was Hindu. And the whole idea of nonviolence, ahimsa, got carried over here into America. Martin Luther King was a student of Gandhi. He was very influenced by Gandhi. And once again, Hinduism and Buddhism, they do teach, as long as you don't get involved with politics and power, they do teach, harmony, peace, love, and nonviolence. And so this was one of the criticisms of Martin Luther King, that he was influenced by Gandhi. And so he's bringing Eastern religion into, he was an ordained Christian minister, but he's bringing Eastern religion thought into America, into our politics, into our government. And so it was on that basis that some criticized him. Mention yoga. Yoga would be practiced by Hindus and by Buddhists, but we put focus on it here with the Buddhists, that it's the way to escape passions and desires. I know that the day is coming when somebody's going to walk up to me here at church and say, hey, we were talking with a group the other day, and let's have a yoga class again. Let's have a yoga class. And you know, now what do you do? And see, the thing is, I know that yoga class is not going to produce Buddhists. In fact, they probably don't even know, a lot of the people in it, if any of them in it, have any real idea of the link between yoga and Buddhism. They might have heard of a link, but they don't really know what it is. They might even feel that they can be a better Christian if they practice yoga, because perhaps they do have conflict and upheaval in their life. And by stretching certain ways, they can be more at peace with themselves, or whatever that is. I go out into my garden and I have peace. So, but he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own in the garden alone. So it becomes one of the challenges for Christians, the impact, the influence that different things in the past have on us today. I mentioned Halloween and trick-or-treating. Some Christian parents will go out and go to Walgreens or whatever and spend $50 on cute costumes for their kids, and everybody gets together and eats the candy and has a lot of fun. Watch the grandkids come and take pictures of them, and other people tell their kids they have to stay home, because Halloween has its roots in Germany in the 1500s, when people still believed in ghosts, spirits in the air. Paganism got mixed in with Christianity. But someone might say, look, this 8-year-old who goes out dressed like a queen, and she's got her little basket with her, and she comes home with candy, has no concept of 16th century Germany. She's not going to become a witch. If she does, it's probably not because she went trick-or-treating. Movies, Star Wars. Now, a lot of people, and I think rightly so, have seen Christian themes in Star Wars. But there again, you have the power of the unseen, the power, the lightsaber, and when you turn on the lightsaber, and now you no longer depend on your senses. You depend on, you have to let. Well, that's got all kinds of themes connected in with Buddhism and Hinduism. Spiritual but not religious. In America today, I can be spiritual. Look at the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And today we have people called nuns. Now, not in the Catholic Church N-U-N, but N-O-N-E-S. Nuns. That means that they will have none of regular religion, none of the regular church. But instead, they will come together, they will worship, they will sing, but the emphasis is on being together, happiness, love, joy, but no doctrines, no God, nobody, no preacher telling you that, like I did Sunday, that you ought to serve. That was Sunday morning. I want to get to Scientology in a moment. The New Age movement, self-actualization, back in the 60s and the 70s, you could go to classes to become more in touch with yourself. A lot of that was very rooted in Eastern thinking. And then Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy, very influenced. There is a thing called Maya. I didn't get into that, but Maya, that really this world is an illusion. This world is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. And so when you have hurt and pain, you are just imagining it. And so if you're having a gallbladder attack, you don't have surgery to get your gallbladder out. You just have to come to the point of realizing you don't have a gallbladder. And of course, a lot of people in Christian Science have died. Scientology, and I've got 5 minutes. Scientology is really strange. I'm not sure what you want to call it. If you want to call it a world religion, if you want to call it a cult, if you want to call it a philosophy, it's a scam. But there are many people who are very popular, wealthy, educated, who belong to it. It's very popular out in California. My son-in-law works for a company in New York, big nationwide company. He's their attorney. And one of their CEOs a couple of years ago was a Scientologist. And so he had some interesting things to say about that. So it's around. But, Larry?
Yeah, it was written by, of course, L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
He brought it up, and he was a science fiction author, and it reads like science fiction. It could be one of his books.
Yep. L. Ron Hubbard, in the 1950s, he wrote science fiction. And what he came up with is that that I am what is called, he called it a thetan. Yeah. I'm a thetan. And I'm going to glance at my notes here because I want to say it right. Now, my personness, who I really am, is abiding in this body. This body is not who I really am. This is like the Atman. And so it's called the thetan. It's residing in me, and it's had many past lives, probably on other planets. And what I have to do is I have to get in touch with my inner self. I have to get in touch with my thetan. Well, that sounds a lot like, yoga. And then when I come to a true understanding of myself, then I can come to my full potential. The trouble is that my thetan has a lot of unconscious disturbance within it that is causing behavior problems and discomfort. So you see the relationship here to Buddhism. And so I have to go through what is called auditing, where a trained auditor uses an E-meter to remove what are called E-grams. That is, these are the things that stand in the way of my thetan having full understanding of self. And then I'm working then with this trained person who then is going to teach me how to get rid of the things that are standing in the way, the E-grams, so that my thetan can get out of the physical body to discover the true self, to get out of the physical body to discover the true self. And so lots of parallelism here with, that Hindu Buddhist idea that you have an Atman, you have disturbances within yourself. The solution is to find ways to get your true self out of your true self and somehow be connected with the divine and then ultimately be absorbed into the divine. But Scientology is extremely wealthy. It's very dangerous. once you're in it, it's difficult to get out. So it's very much like a cult. And so it's difficult to understand why intelligent people would do that. I don't like it if somebody wants to leave the church or leave the faith, but we don't send somebody after them to hurt them or to kill them or to, whatever. We just, wish them God's blessing and hope they come back. Now, one other thing, and I'm out of time. No, I got a minute and a half. You will find some of this in Christianity. This idea that, you have a soul within you, and that's the good part of you, and the rest of you is bad. And so you have to find a way to nourish the soul and get rid of the bad, which is the flesh. And so the less you emphasize the flesh, and the more you emphasize the soul, and that the soul is going to go to heaven and bounce around on clouds, that's very Eastern religion. It's very Greek philosophy. Christians have to realize I am a total person. My total person, the Bible calls a soul. I am a soul. And when I do have difficulties, when I do have emotional or physical or psychological pain, I don't try to escape myself. I try to deal with it within myself with the help of the Lord. Short sermon, but it's 11:30.
I did raise my hand. Maybe that accounts for Tom Cruise being a Scientologist, doing his stunts himself. If something should happen to him, that he loses his life.
Tom Cruise.
There's a reincarnation
Yeah.
in
Well,
Scientology.
don't teach. I'm not sure about exactly how they tie into reincarnation, but you are the result of many lives before you. Jim, quickly.
We were talking about yoga, someone coming to you from
Yeah.
your church. You could suggest to them that they incorporate the concepts of yoga and have a different acronym. And I came up with SITE, SITE, self-improvement through exercise.
Yeah. Well, what we have done in the past is we have used the word yoga, or at other times we've used other words. And we've merely said that this is a class in exercises to help your body. Eunice?
Yeah, it amazes me that all around the world, how the human being longs for something greater than
The human being all over the world is longing for something greater. We believe we have it. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week. All right. Yoo-hoo! Thank you, online people. Sorry the battery went dead.
We can read, Lou.
Thank you.
Engram that L. Ron Hubbard comes up with, that's a kind of a take on the word engrams, which comes from